Welcome back to Gibraltar, day one of the Gibraltar Darts Trophy. It has been, well, fleeting that we have seen John Henderson on a European Tour stage this year. In fact, you have to go back a little over 3 years since the last time we saw John Henderson win a match on the European Tour stage. So make the most of it this weekend. It could be another big Hendo weekendo, or it could well be a passage into round two for a man who has had a good knack of reaching the Gibraltar Darts Trophy tournament in recent years. This is his fifth successive appearance at this particular tournament for Ritchie Edhouse. He's not gone as far as the final day in any of those previous four visits, but he will start this one as the slight favourites in the market of two. John Henderson, you have to say, under pressure on a fair few fronts as far as his career is concerned. Looking to salvage a bit of prize money and a bit of pride as well at the same time, I would venture. Mark Webster alongside me, Rob Malarkey, for this one. It is a big weekend for John Henderson because, like I say, he's not been on the European Tour stage much. And wins have been, by and large, hard to come by this year as well.
Yeah, it's a tough period for John Henderson coming up. His tour card is under real threat, and if you'd have asked me sort of 4 months ago if he was going to keep it, I wouldn't have given him a chance, but he's shown some fight, John Henderson, the last few months. He had a setback in the European Tour in Jena a couple of weeks ago. He lost to Danny van Trijp 6-0, and he was a broken man after that, but needs a victory here, John. Winner to face Joe Cullen, and needs some runs as well in the remaining 6 Players' Championships. He's going to keep his tour card, John. He's been a tour card holder since the beginning of 2011, so pressure times for one of the great guys of the sport, and needs a big performance here because Ritchie Edhouse is a real tough first round opponent.
Yeah, Henderson just outside the top 64 in the order of merit. He's currently 69th, he's 78th on the Pro Tour order of merit, 66th on the Players' Championship order of merit, so he's going to have to put in a few decent performances if he's going to make his way to Minehead for the finals at the end of the year as well. I mean, you look at the start of the year that he had. He lost the first 10 matches that he played on the Pro Tour this year.
Yeah,
he's had a quarter-final and a couple of fourth rounds since then, but he's never really fully recovered from that really sluggish start.
No, and that just comes with pressure. He knows that every game he's slipping closer and closer. I've been in that situation. I think the last time I went with you, Robin Barnes, he had a rough day there, and I was speaking to him after, and he was down, and why wouldn't you be? Confidence crisis, but I could afford a little smile there, John. Chance for the opening leg, and what he failed to do in the last European Tour was get a leg and just get something early doors. That's a good setter. Should come back.
But may not do. Oh, that is an absolute blockbuster of a finish from Ritchie Edhouse.
And when things aren't going your way, Rob, isn't it? What a shot from Ritchie Edhouse. Credit to him. Edhouse is a player who's quietly about his business, comfortably in the Worlds again. He had Gerwyn Price in a bit of bother in the Worlds last year on opening night. Led us by a set. He led by a leg as well in the second set. Gerwyn Price overturned it, but I have to feel for John Henderson. He's left himself 24, isn't it, on the first leg after 15 darts, a 1-5-2, but you've just got to applaud the class from Ritchie Edhouse.
Well, you do. I mean, you mentioned there that 6-0 defeat by Danny van Trijp in the German Darts Open. He only won one leg in that defeat by Nathan Aspinall in Prague as well. So he's not just appearing at too many European tours. When he is, he's barely registering at all. And what he wanted today would have been a nice solid start. And that sort of setback, you know, the demeanour just changed straight away, didn't it?
Well, it does, and you're just trying to reset himself now because he teed the leg up well, John, and it just allows Edhouse to settle and back-to-back 180s, but it's a tough draw for John. When I seen he drawn Ritchie Edhouse, I thought it'd be really tricky for him. Such an improved player, Ritchie.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw him qualify, and by the way, Ritchie qualified for this by beating Scott Waits and Matt Campbell, but when I saw he qualified for this, I was thinking, you know, I've been to a few of these tournaments in years gone by, I was thinking, Edhouse has got a good record of getting to Gibraltar, and I looked into it, and it is, yeah, this is his 5th successive time. No tournament in 2020, of course, but he was here in 17, 18, 19 and 21. He's not gone beyond round 2, but maybe, just maybe, he could breach that defence this time around. John Henderson, though, may have other ideas. It may be too little too late, that 180. Edhouse looking at double 80, sure enough it is. That 180, as Dan would say, a bit of a dead cat.
Yeah, he slammed the door shut on that 180. Didn't even let him finish cheering, did he? But we've talked about John Henderson, how he's under pressure. How good's this from Ritchie Edhouse? What a start. And Henderson hasn't done a great deal wrong himself.
60.
But it's now, he lost his last match 6-0 against Danny Van Tripe, as we said. He's lost the opening 2 legs here. But playing okay here, John. Lost the whole throw here, though.
I remember watching Ritchie make his European Tour debut as well. That was in Venray in Holland in early 2016. He
24.
reached the last 16 on that occasion. He was aided by a bye, but the £2,000 that he picked up at that time was the biggest prize money that he'd ever secured.
He's a good player, Ritchie Edhouse. He's a no-nonsense player. Nothing flash about him.
And what I like about him as well is the way that he's bounced back from it. He obviously lost his tour card, but didn't waste too much time winning it back via the arduous challenge tour as well.
He lost it in that COVID year, didn't he? So he was kind of, all right, okay, let's just play what I can. He was doing some online stuff, fine-tuning his game, and he's come back stronger, Ritchie Edhouse. And he's kind of one of those guys who now, he's ticked the box of the Worlds and Minehead. He's got that platform. Now he needs to start cropping up at the match play, the Grand Prix. We need to see him at other events. He has got the game to get there, Edhouse. He did used to use those wobbly darts. I'm glad he doesn't use anymore. But so capable.
60. You're on your 142.
Well, Henderson surely must be targeting this leg as the one where he gets off the mark, but again, you know, you look at the reaction after that first dart and it's not great, it's not totally reassuring. Henderson will be still confident of finishing things off.
Yeah, just showing out Ritchie's throw here a little bit. Compose himself, but Endo to get a leg on the board, needs this.
You only require 58.
On his throw, so Ritchie not on a finish. Double 10, this one he's got to be careful. Misses outside, that's okay, but he's going to come back and there's going to be a bit of pressure on this 20. And they're doing it again on Edhouse's throw, which is a...
Yeah.
100. Only require
2 or 3 times now. George Noble will keep an ear
He's on
on the situation. He's having a look over his shoulder. He'll say something now, I think.
I'm not quite sure who it is, but there's some person keep calling out while the players are throwing. Keep calling out. If you'd like to point the person out, we'll remove them. Okay? Whoever it is. Stop it.
Well said by George Noble. It was on the Ritchie Edhouse throw on about 3 or 4 occasions, just one voice saying, come on, Hendo, and we're all for getting behind your player, but not
60.
While the opposing player is in throw, and that seems to address the problem. Don't mess with George Noble.
Don't think George has left anyone in too much doubt there about who's in charge.
140.
Yeah, the message has hit home.
Oh, it has, yeah. And Hendo, in the midst of that, is making inroads on the Edhouse throw earlier in the leg. Really good from John Henderson. He looks a lot calmer than he did in the previous time I saw him. I could tell in the Van Tripe game he looked edgy. Here, he's been out here with his wife Veronica since Monday, so he's had a bit of chill time. There she is, Edhouse's partner as well.
A bit of chill time, that's almost residency.
140.
Mind you.
He's a big Celtic fan as well, so he'll have enjoyed the Rangers score the other night as well.
Well, he won't have enjoyed the Leipzig score though, would he? So, by the same token.
57. You only require 81.
This is good from John. Potential 11 dart leg here. Doesn't need to go for the ball. So, yeah, just treble 10 or treble 14, whatever you want to tee up. Or treble 18, John. Work with me, mate.
41.
That's fine. He sets up the shot.
In a roundabout way. And, yeah, he's got a bit of a safety blanket here to work with as well.
You require 40.
So this for a break of throw. Very sure-footed dart at double 20 as well. It was right under the wire and right in the middle as well. So Henderson, despite that early sickener, is back on terms at 2 apiece in this one. Edhouse has made 4 previous European Tour appearances this year as well. Just in terms of what he needs to do to force his way into the European Championship, which takes place in Dortmund at the end of this month. Well, he's got work to do, put it that way. He's on £7,000. He'll need at least... Well, I think he's going to have to come away with £10,000.
Yeah, he's got to make the final, hasn't he? The semi won't be enough for Edhouse. Sure, that's probably not on his radar. He's looking to have a strong tournament here. And then potential qualifying for the Grand Slam. 6 Players' Championship final in mind, and then it all culminates the tilt at the world title. And Edhouse, who opened the show last year, he was the first match
60.
on.
Yeah.
He's Pete Hudson. He ended up beating Pete and losing to Gerwin Price, I mentioned earlier, but he made a good account of himself, did Ritchie.
Yeah, 12,500 the cut-off point at the moment, Vincent van der Voort, but he's guaranteed £1,000 for playing here. Ryan Meikle, likewise on 13, is guaranteed £1,000 as well. So yeah, bearing that in mind, Edhouse will have to make the final. The semis ain't going to cut the mustard, but as you say, I don't think he'll be thinking about that. Interesting, actually, when Edhouse did get his tour card back, he was the first priority that he spoke of was a chance to make a life for himself. Not necessarily a career, but I suppose if you look after the pounds, then the benefits will come with that as well. So I think there was a certain target of financial stability that comes with that.
And that's a realistic aim, isn't it?
That's a realistic aim. Rather than targeting, majors and getting to the quarters of this, that, and the other. I think to give yourself that stability, because with that stability comes the security and the ability to build what's in place.
Missed a big chance there, Edhouse. 2 to break again. Hendo for 3 consecutive legs, and that is what a turnaround. Henderson trailed 2 legs, nearly now leads 3-2 halfway to what will be a massive victory and a potential tie with Joe Cullen.
Yeah, good response by Henderson. Could so easily have been knocked off his stride by that first leg. Could so easily have just retreated into his shell.
140.
He's done well, John. But Edhouse won't go away, that's for sure. Mentioning the run for the European Championships, you talked about earlier, Rob, good point in the games tonight. The Ryan Meikle, Josh Rock, Martin Schindler, Vincent van der Voort, in terms of European qualification, massive ties tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, the appropriately named Josh Rock. If a man is going to win a first-time European Tour title in Gibraltar this weekend, the Rock is the man.
And he would be the last ever champion, well, for the foreseeable future, in Gibraltar. It's our last outing here on the European Tour. It's not on the calendar next year. So Josh could be remaining champion for a while, but he'll take a win. He's almost in the European finals, I'd say. I think that win tonight would do it. Well, it would do it. Yeah, it would do it, because he'd go on to 16. Ross Smith and above, 25 and above, have qualified. There's still 7 places yet to be confirmed for the European Championship finals. And then there's the jockeying for seeding, isn't there? That's how it's played. 1 plays 32 and so on and so on. So still plenty to play for the players that have qualified.
Yeah, absolutely.
59.
Yeah, nudging your way into that top 16 can make a significant difference. Edhouse well and truly in control of this leg on throw. It's been a while since we had a competitive match, shall we say. Negret, Nayans, Lowe and Valerio, fairly one-sided affairs. Willie O'Connor was fairly one-sided as well, surprisingly perhaps, against Jim Williams.
That was down to his class rather than the frailties of Jim Williams.
And despite the 6-2 scoreline in the opening match between Galliano and Van der Behada, I don't think it was a 6-2 game. It could so easily have flipped the other way. It was the local hero who came through. 64 for Edhouse here.
He missed this double in the previous leg too, had it? He missed another one. Outside chance for John Henderson here. This for a 4th consecutive leg, and this would give him some breathing space. Oh, the shot's gone already. Yeah.
Well,
he'd be disappointed there, Rob, wasn't he? You could tell with the reaction.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty criminal, isn't it? You've got acres of space to work with there, and he's just flinched it wide, and it's just, again, just knocked the stuffing out of him completely. Edhouse can step in here. This is a potential turning point. Could so easily be 4-2, but as it is, it's 3 apiece. And they're the moments, aren't they? There are the fine lines brutally illustrated there for John Henderson.
And he could have done with that cushion. When you're under pressure, you need a little bit of a cushion. Good dart from John. It's when you're in situations like this, you get found out in games that are close. I've been there myself. You want to have a bit of breathing space. Edhouse will keep applying the pressure. Henderson still marginally favourite, courtesy of winning the ball in the back room, but wow, forget that now. That visit has given Edhouse the initiative in this 7th leg.
We are watching, actually, by the way, a meeting of a former European Tour finalist, John Henderson, and a European Tour semi-finalist in Ritchie Edhouse. So in terms of been there, done that, you know, these two have got a little bit of pedigree on the European Tour stage.
Henderson took Michael Van Gerwen to a deciding leg. It was in Berlin, I think, in 2015.
It was in Germany. It wasn't in Berlin. I was there. I'm trying to think where it was now.
91.
Either way,
German Masters, wasn't it?
he was within a leg of lifting the title, John Henderson, and that's how good he's been. So this part of his career is tough, but he'll keep fighting. He's going to need all that fight here because Edhouse is putting a good leg. That's unlucky, just to not have a glares at the dart as if it didn't do as it's told.
78.
And we see
almost reprimanding it like a disobedient dog. Henderson 157 ain't going to go. Edhouse with the chance to step in on 52 for a break once again.
57.
He's been threatening this, Ritchie Edhouse, to be fair. Had darts to lead 3-2. He's going to have darts to lead 4-3, and this is the double that cost him to lead 3-2. And it may cost him leading 4-3. He needs to be tidy up on that double 16, Ritchie Edhouse.
Tops was the target.
I think that was a good guide for John on the treble.
Ritchie records 32.
Yet in the moment, you've got to do what you feel's right, but he could be going 4-3 down here.
It's the way he looked at it as well. It wasn't even close. And Edhouse doesn't stand on ceremony this time because he steps in once again. And it's another break. And the topsy-turvy encounter continues, and it just flips the way of Ritchie Edhouse, making his 5th successive European Tour appearance in Gibraltar.
38.
Door ajar at the beginning of the leg straight away. Needs a treble, John Henderson. Can't find one.
60.
Lets Ritchie Edhouse off the hook. This is a pivotal part of the game, particularly for John. And in terms of his career in the PDC.
Well, it's massive.
81.
I mean, he wouldn't be human if it wasn't all in the back of his mind about what's at stake here. Not just in terms of this match, but in terms of what's at stake in the various ranking tables that he's no doubt keeping an eye on.
26.
I mean, there are some players who'll tell you or will say publicly that they haven't really got a clue where they are. I for one, don't believe.
Liars, Rob.
I don't believe that.
I used to look at my tables all the time. I had to go to page 2 or 3 at the end, but I kept an eye on them.
And there are some players as well that they say after an interview on stage here, for example, that they're not aware of who they're facing in round 2 or the next round. I find that very hard.
Liars, Rob, again. Liars down there. You always map your route out. You'll even have a little look to the sort of round after 60. As well. But
I can see this. I can see the value and the logic in not getting too or looking too far ahead. I admit that.
But you need to know, yeah. You need to know the short term, don't you? Yeah. And the short term is John Henderson needs wins, and he's plenty of them. And we're talking about it's not career ending for John. He'd lose his tour card, but he could get it back. So when maybe it might just be a case of you draw a line under it. If he gets his tour card back in January, it might then turn out to be the best thing. But at this stage, you don't want to be going to Q school here.
No. Because it's only going to get tougher and tougher on the evidence of what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years. Now, if it's not somebody in the crowd, it's an aeroplane.
See both players. We are right by there.
I was half expecting George to have a word with the pilot then. Now then. And he's flown off course here as Henderson. He's gone into the treble 5s on 2 occasions. He's found the treble 19. Good recovery with that final dart. But yeah, he's adrift here. Edhouse with 6 darts from this position.
And Edhouse has been able to tee up shot. That's fine. That's all he needed to do. And it's the game stuttering now. We're down into sort of the average in the mid-80s. But it's Edhouse who's doing enough. Henderson can try and apply some pressure here.
100.
Edhouse for 5-3. The first bit of daylight since he led 2-0. And then it is. And he's on the brink of a place in round 2. Henderson needs the next 3 legs. Otherwise, it'll be a third exit the first round stage in the Euro Tour this year. Defeats against Aspinall. That demolition he received 60. Against Danny Van Tripe. And now he's on the brink of a defeat to Ritchie Edhouse.
Yeah, and I think for Henderson, obviously now all the roads lead to, well, immediately to the cluster of
100
Pro Tour events domestically. and just try and make as much hay as he can there as well. That's all he can focus on.
Yeah, Grand Slam playoff in there as well. He was in the Grand Slam last year because of his exploits in the World Cup.
85.
But he could do with making that as well. That would give him some extra prize money. Just for qualifying, I think is it
96.
I want to say 4,000 for bottom of the group, maybe.
Yeah.
To check that, but that could be valuable. See, the double's pretty good for Henderson, but Edhouse,
58.
the evidence is there. He's been the better player. He's carved out the more opportunities.
Yeah, and he's won the darts in this leg effectively now as well. If he can find another one of those.
98.
Yeah, he knows that's a big moment. I mean, that was a chance to really put his foot on the gas. But Henderson, far too many loose darts at the moment. He's just gone off the boil. And he started to rock a little bit more as well. I mean, we talked about it a few years ago, how much he was rocking. I think that has calmed down from what I've seen over the past couple of years. But I don't know, it just seems to be a bit more evident when things aren't going his way.
57.
He's getting a little bit agitated.
Well, he did well on that last visit, didn't he? After going in a 1 to find 2 trebles, and he's in again. Make your opponent throw out the match. Don't let him off the hook by dropping your throw in this leg.
99.
And we'll get a go unless Edhouse can take out 150, and he's taken 152, and he might do it here. This would be for the match. Another one of them. Unlucky.
Just the wrong side that would have left that opportunity on double 18. Does like the 18s as well, Edhouse, but sets it up nicely anyway.
He only requires 78.
To prolong the tie and keep his hopes alive here in Gibraltar. Henderson, it's tops. Big dart for John. And Big John gets the tops, and we go on. It's Edhouse's darts, but Henderson hangs on in there. Really good finish. But over to you, Ritchie Edhouse. You've got the darts.
Yeah, Henderson missed that big number, didn't he, not too long ago? Straying into the single 1. He was absolutely dead centre with that one as he set up the opportunity. Edhouse onto a flyer with a ton 40 out of the traps quickly as he looks to wrap this one up. Henderson under pressure from the word go.
It's disheartening when you force them to throw and then you see the first 2 in the treble. And Edhouse got control here.
Just chasing from the word go, aren't you? That single 5. I mean,
57.
how telling could that prove already?
2 treble visit here for John, though. That's better. That's good. Lucky.
100.
Well, if anything, we know about John Henderson. He's an absolute battler.
140.
He will go off to Barnsley if his campaign ends in this match here for the remaining 6 Players' Championships. I give it everything. It's not write him off yet, but
60.
It's a tall order now. He's relying on mistakes from Ritchie Edhouse. He's just teeing up well. Just gets rid of the sensible to leave it single to double. And these could be John's last darts.
Yeah, the finishing's been pretty good as well from Ritchie. 5 from 13, but he's getting the job done in the main with the visit that matters rather than with the dart in hand. And here we go, 2 darts at tops for a 6-4 win. Double 10. Just sneaks it in. And Ritchie Edhouse's love affair with Gibraltar continues for a 3rd successive visit. He is through to the 2nd round. Disappointment for Veronica and disappointment for John Henderson once again on the European Tour stage. He draws another blank and all roads lead to Barnsley now for Henderson as he looks to salvage his 2022 campaign. The Highlander beats a hasty retreat and falls at the first hurdle. He's been here since Monday, but he may well be on his way home on the next flight as well. Made a really good fist of that in the end, but just ran out of steam when it mattered most. And for Ritchie Edhouse, a 6-4 win and a passage into round 2 to face the number 11 seed, Joe Cullen.